What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and I feel like a broken record. I feel like I'm about to say everything that I've been saying so far this season, and the fact that nothing has changed and we end up dropping 2 more points at home kind of makes me frustrated because if I can see it, why can't anybody else? So, with that being said, first of all, I do want to talk about obviously the drama on the touchline. Yeah, let's talk about that coach because he should either be gone or fined and never on the bench again because that's ridiculous. To make Jose Mourinho look like the bigger man when we know how petty he is, that's ridiculous. I mean, to take a little swipe at him and then run by and celebrate in his face again, I don't care how excited you are that we just equalized, which, first of all, the fact that we are equalizing late against a terrible Man U team at home, it shouldn't be all that exciting. It should be more like relief, like, oh, thank goodness we didn't drop all 3 points. But it should not be excitement, like, yes, we just tied late. That's ridiculous. That is the mentality of a small club, and we are not. We should be challenging for the top. But with that being said, it's ridiculous that we found ourselves in that position. Because that is not what I've been looking for this season. That is not what I want to see from this season, is us getting excited for a late point at home. So, all that being said, let's talk about the goals. First of all, our first goal, very simple breakdown in defense. Pogba loses track of his man. I will say it was slightly satisfying to see Pogba jumping around like a little kid that just got his sucker stolen. That was beautiful. I could watch just a repeat gif of that all day long. Just him. So anyway, it was pretty simple. Rudiger just gets away from him and he has a free header. Thank goodness he puts it on target. So first goal there. And then you move on to their first goal. How many players can I talk about that just absolutely terrible in this? First, we'll start with Alonso. I don't care if he steps on your foot. I don't care if he fouls you. When the ref doesn't call it, you get up and play. I don't care if it hurts. I've been stepped on before. I've been kicked before, and I've gotten up and kept playing when the ref didn't call it because guess what? The game goes on without you. And unless it's a head injury, the ref doesn't have to stop it. And when they're in our box, they're definitely not going to kick it out. So you get up and play. And everybody else, you continue to play too. You don't stand there and go, hey, he's on the ground. You play. They're playing, you play. I mean, watching everybody stand as they're just pinging it, little ping pong going on. While we're just standing there going, hey, there's a guy on the ground. Oh no, I'm reacting. And then just boot it right to them again. I mean, good Lord, it was awful. I counted at least 7 players standing while that whole play was going on. It was the worst I think I've ever seen us play this season. And that's actually saying a lot because I've seen us play terribly so far this season. Before you get all pissed, no, I'm not saying we don't play terribly all the time, but we've had some terrible moments this season, and that was the worst of the bunch. So, yeah, I don't know what Sarri's going to say about that, but in my opinion, that should be where you rip into them and you say, hey, you don't stop. You do not stop playing. You continue to play. You are professionals. I don't care if the referee didn't call it. I don't care if somebody steps on your foot. You get up and you play. Guys, that was the most frustrating thing out of this entire game. And then the second goal is just break down defensively because you've got Alonso and Luis on the same side. Luis gets beaten behind for about the 10th time this game, and then Luis... Did I say Luis twice? Alonso gets beaten behind for the 10th time this game, and then Luis goes out and tries to fly into it and get it, and Mata's just like, okay, go on, dive in, I'll just take it around you. And then at that point, Rudiger has to step over, Spilicueta has to step over, Willian was not getting back at all today, so there's no help from him. And at that point, it's so simple. It's so simple for them to just pass. Martial cuts inside because Spilicueta's coming over too quickly and then just puts it to the back corner. Which I will throw Kepa a little bit of criticism in the fact that he didn't move. I mean, it was a great shot, but Kepa didn't even make an effort for it, really. For the first one, it's kind of like, okay, he's volleying it near the 6-yard box. I can kind of understand, like, you don't know what to do in that situation. But that one, you know exactly where he's going. He doesn't even make an attempt for it. He's just kind of like, oh, no, there it goes into the goal. And he's done that 3 or 4 times, giving up goals this season. So, once again, $85 million for a keeper that isn't even going to make an effort for some of these shots. That's not what we paid for. So still have problems there. But yeah, so both of those goals are ridiculous. Our second goal, I mean, it's honestly, we've been dumping it in the entire second half. And finally, one works out. Like after all of this dump, they headed away, dump, they headed away, dump, they headed away, dump, they headed away. I was just getting so pissed, and finally, another dump ball towards the back post. Finally, somebody goes and tries to attack it for the first time in the entire second half, and look what happens when you attack the ball. We get a goal. It honestly, that's the thing about it. If you want to dump it in, somebody attack it. But we're dumping it into Murata, who's definitely not going to attack it. So finally, we dump it in. We've got Giroud and Luis at the back post. Luis attacks it. Rudiger is quick and meets it with his header. De Gea makes a great save, and then Barkley's just quicker. He's more weight than Lindelof, and goal. I mean, it's so simple. It's so simple. When you're just turned on and ready to play, it's so simple to get goals, but we're not doing it enough. There's too many times where it's just a dump ball to nobody moving, no movement in the box. And we know Jose's going to pack it in. We know he's going to park the bus. It's what he does every single game, especially when they go up. I mean, at that point, I thought there was no way we're coming back because I knew he was just going to park the bus. And sure enough, they did. And if not for the fact that we finally had somebody attacking, we had players more awake for the first time this game, it would have been a loss. So with all that being said, I mean, you look at the game overall, and Jose, once again, just trying to sort of up himself a little bit, saying that they were the better team. They weren't. We were not. Okay, let me make sure I get my words right. He was saying they were the better team this game. They weren't until we let them be the better team, if that makes sense. That first half, he was saying, oh, we were in the game. We were in the game. They were not in the game. They were hardly creating anything. We were creating chances. We couldn't get any final balls because we didn't have a striker in. But, I mean, we were the better team in the first half. Once we turned off and once we started just letting them have the momentum, we couldn't get the ball up the field because Murata and Willian are useless. I mean, at that point, that's when they come into the game and that's when they start looking the better team. But for most of the game, it was our game to be won. It was there for us to win it. We've just got to have a striker in that does the job. And so let's talk about individuals. So I already talked about Kepa a little bit. I mean, he had a few other things to do aside from that one mistake I talked about that he did do well. He made a couple good saves. He was out quickly one time. So overall, I mean, I won't say it was a bad game for him. I thought he played decent. But for $85 million, I don't want decent. I want fantastic. I want superstar. I want game changer. But we're not getting that from him. Defense, I mean, Luis and Alonso, once again, not good enough. Defensively, at least. Alonso hasn't been good on the attack either, though, and that didn't change today. He's still the same. All he's got now is just dumped in balls, and they're not even good anymore. Most of the time last year, his dumped in balls at times could get frustrating, but then there were moments where he'd whip in a cross, and it was brilliant. This year so far has just been dumped in, right to the defender every time, and nothing is changing. And he's not providing anything for us on the attack. So whenever he gets beaten behind constantly because he's getting up in the attack and not providing anything, then what are you doing? Why are you on the field? Because we don't have another left back, because the transfer team failed. My point has been made again. David Luiz in defense, not a defender. Honestly, we might as well have him in midfield because where he looks the best is when he's on the ball, when he's on the attack. I mean, that header that he won at the end, it was a good win for the header, but defensively he's awful. And when you've got one of your two defenders in the midfield or in the middle of the field that's terrible, I mean, what are you supposed to do then? If not for the fact that Rudiger's been so solid, we probably would not still be unbeaten this season. We would have given away a few losses. So, but as far as Rudiger's concerned, I mean, he's very solid, still doing well defensively. He works his butt off. And I'll say that about Spilicueta as well. I'm not going to say they were faultless today. I thought both of them were very stagnant on the first goal. They were two of the players that were honestly at fault for that. But overall, I mean, they both worked their butts off. And I can appreciate that hard work. Even if they make mistakes, at least they are doing something. At least they're working hard. So I do think they've done a good job today, even if it wasn't perfect, which I don't expect people to be perfect. Into the midfield, Jorginho once again had a very average game, and it's kind of become one of those things where the reason he was there was because of his distribution. Well, his distribution in the past few games has not been good enough. It's not been what we've expected. And defensively, he's definitely not got it. So why is he still there then? And that's where I think Sarri does play favorites. Murata is one of his favorites, even if he's not doing anything. Jorginho is one of his favorites, even if he's not doing anything. So it's continuing to be a problem where Jorginho's not helping us defensively. I mean, the first goal, you can probably draw like a tiny little triangle about this big that he moved in during that entire 30 seconds that led up to the goal. He just doesn't help us defensively, and Conte does. And yet Conte's pushed further up the field than he is. So that is my biggest argument against Jorginho, is if he is not providing the distribution that you expect from him, he is useless in that position. And Conte, we already know, is better in that position than he is where he is right now, up the field. So you've got a player that's not doing anything for you, and you've got a world-class, possibly one of the best players in the world, playing out of his position. And yet Sarri's a genius? I don't see it. And then Kovacic, let's talk about this one. Once again, one of our most positive players. Once again, a player that is creating something in the midfield. Matic had hell today because Kovacic was on the field. Who's the first sub? Kovacic. No explanation. Can't explain it. Barkley for Kovacic, one of Sarri's favorite subs. Happens every game. If it's Barkley on the field first, then he'll come off for Kovacic. And most of the time it'll be when Barkley's looking positive. Because Sarri is stubborn. Because he can't change. Because he can't do anything different. So even today, when we needed Kovacic in the midfield to continue to cause problems for Matic and Pogba and Mata was the other one in there, they could not stop him. But let's yank him off the field because we're idiots. So yeah, I mean, once again, we need to get him on the full transfer, not just on loan, because he is a player. He is a good midfielder. He is very quick. The only way I could tell the difference between him and Hazard today was because Hazard had the bright cleats, and honestly, that's about it. I mean, even when he went off, I couldn't tell the difference between him and Hazard because they both were on the bench. Just Hazard was there mentally. So yeah, I mean, those midfield three, they did well in the first half, but then the second half, you take Kovacic off with his hard work rate. And then Jorginho now is still just sort of the same. He's still not giving you anything. We lost the midfield in the second half, and that's why, man, you started to look like the better team. Where did the sun go? I just realized I'm looking at the camera, and it got really, really dark. Sorry about that. And, yeah, the TV's not really brightening anything up. So, anyway, that's the midfield three. Good in the first half, bad in the second half. Let's talk about the front three, because it was average in the first half and terrible in the second half. I mean, you look at what Murata brought to the second half and the first half, nothing. You look at what Willian brought to the first half and second half, nothing. Hazard, good first half, terrible. Absolutely pointless to have him out there on the field in the second half because he wasn't doing anything. And I don't know how much of that is frustration. I don't know how much of that is because he's coming back from international break. Who knows? There could be any number of reasons. I would be frustrated myself if I kept doing all of this stuff in the first half and I had Murata to play to. So, yeah, I don't know. But second half, it was absolutely worthless. And then finally, Pedro and Giroud come on, and that's when we start creating chances in the second half because that's what Sarri does every game. He puts them on the bench. Okay, not every game. But most of the games, he'll have the one player that should be starting, and we could probably dominate the game and be up 3-0 in the first half. But he leaves him on the bench, and it'll be close, and it'll be 1-0, or it'll be 0-0, and then he takes him off the bench and puts him on, and all of a sudden, boom, we're dominating the game, and now we've scored. You call it tactical genius, I call it pointless. Why put ourselves in a position where we are close, or where we are down a goal? Okay, I really feel like I need to turn on a light here. 1 second. Okay, that's all frustrating, but then you look at the subs that come on and when they come on, and that makes it even more frustrating. Because like I said, he does bring on Pedro and Giroud, and yes, they do better. They do change the game, but it's so late. that we're requiring a last gasp winner instead of possibly getting one back. Or, no. Here's what should have happened. We give up that goal in the whatever minute. I don't remember how soon it was in the second half. I think it was like 55. We give up that goal, 60th minute, Murata, Giroud. Now we start looking more dangerous. Now we get the momentum back and we start taking it to them. Next sub should be Pedro for Willian. Now we look even more dangerous. Now we're creating even more chances. Now we possibly get a goal or two and put the game away. And then that's when you bring Barkley on for whoever you want to do, because at that point it shouldn't matter. But instead, it's we give up a goal, they equalize, brings on Barkley for Kovacic. Now we've lost the midfield. We give up another goal, and then we bring on Pedro, and we still have Murata up top, so we're still not creating anything. And then you bring on Giroud, and finally we've created a few chances near the end. It's too little too late. It's why we only ended the game with 1 point instead of 3. And it's why, in my opinion, Sarri is still failing as a coach, because his decision-making is hurting us. You can say what you want about his tactics. You can say what you want about how he's managing the team overall. Those decisions that he makes to start certain players like David Luiz, like Murata, like Willian. I'll grant him Alonso because we don't have a left back. Those decisions and then the subs that he makes are terrible. And if not for the fact that some of these games he's had those players to bring off the bench that changed the game, like Giroud and Pedro, if not for those players coming off the bench, we would have lost some games. We would have ended some games without a point. And there were a couple games like West Ham, like Liverpool, where he didn't have a sub to make. He didn't have Pedro to turn to on the bench or Giroud to turn to on the bench. And so we end the game with only a point. And that's how it's going to be this season. You take away Pedro, you take away Giroud, you put them on the field instead of benching them and then bringing them on. If there's nothing to do, if there's nothing to change, he's not going to make the changes. He's not going to move the team around or make adjustments to win games. It's just going to be like for like, striker for striker, wing for wing, midfielder for midfielder. And that's all he can do. That's all he knows to do. And it's killing us. It is making us look like such an average team to the point where, point at home against Man U? Yeah, that's what Cardiff or Bournemouth or Burnley or West Ham, they would be excited about that. And yet here are all these fans. Awesome job, guys. We're the best. We managed to tie it home. Ha! It's stupid. It's ridiculous, and it's becoming an issue that is not being addressed. Nobody is addressing this. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody is really doing anything to change it. It's the same exact stuff every game. So, I don't know. I feel like I've said all this stuff before. I feel like I'm kind of on repeat, but until things change, I'm going to keep saying the same stuff. It's still going to be the same issues. We're still going to struggle in some games because of this. So, anyway, with that all being said, those are my thoughts. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on today's game? Let me know. We can talk about it and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.